Lovely plums, reddish plums on a beautiful, beautiful plums. Pinky, pinky, blinking. Only.
Enjoy.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Lovely, lovely. Voilà, petit, petit.
And I found me some hippie snacks. I love me some fresh plums.
À la saison des prunes, j'aurai beaucoup d'argent. J'aurai vendu les prunes, récoltées sur mon champ. Mais d'abord, je dois faucher toute l'herbe pour y planter. Pour la saison des prunes, des rangées de pruniers qui feront ma fortune et l'on pourra se marier.
To do the plum cuttings, I needed a table that would be in the cold room at the art center and that would be fitted with heating cables. Ingrid and Ocean were nice enough to help me install the table and were able to put their blueberries on it. For my project, Michael Bio and I went to the orchard to cut some offshoots of the rootstocks of his plum trees that were peaches, plums, and American plums. To harvest the cuttings, I went with a pair of secateurs in February, which is the ideal season because the wood is dormant. Species by species, the cuttings are then trimmed to only keep the year-old growth. All the wood from last year's growth is cut and put in a pile, while older wood is thrown away. Year-old wood is then cut into 20 centimeters cuttings. They should be about pencil thick, and always under a node. Using tape as a gauge for the cuttings increases speed and precision to make the 20 centimeters cuttings. Cuttings are then dipped into IBA powder, which in this case is steam root number 2. The excess steam root is shaken off. Holes were made with a stick that is 7 centimeters deep. IBA dipped cuttings were then planted in the substrate. When planting the cuttings and dipping them into IBA, it's important to respect polarity. The wintering buds are pointing upwards. The treatment for my experiment was the substrate. The first one was perlite and peat, 1 part each. The other one was 100% G6, and the last one was 1 part of perlite per 1 part of G6. It is important to keep all the 3 species separated into each treatment, which is the substrate. The cuttings were then placed in a cold room that was set to 4 degrees Celsius. They were placed on bottom heat to favor rooting over leafing out. However, we realized that 4 degrees Celsius was too cold and we brought the temperature up to between 13 and 15 degrees Celsius. Watering regularly is important. As soon as the substrate seemed dry, I would come and water the 3 substrates. The objective was to root plums and peaches that would be used as rootstocks for the plum orchard at Art Center. Out of about 200 plums and peaches rootstocks, I rooted only 57. However, 122 were showing callus, which would probably eventually create some roots. This makes sense since plums and peaches are really hard to root species. With no time constraints, I would have let the cuttings undisturbed for a longer time, in order to let them root correctly and not just callus. As you can see, towards the end of the experiment, some plums and peaches cuttings were leafing out, which is not a very good thing since they can lose water through transpiration. Rooting response in the various treatments was quite different. Basically, the two treatments with half perlite responded much better. The treatment that was 100% G6 had much less rooting and much less leafing out also. Perlite is a sponge-like substance that can absorb 3 to 4 times its weight in water. It also helped with the aeration of the substrate. It is a very popular rooting medium, and it helped into rooting my plum rootstocks. Soon, Michael Leo will take the trees outside, and next year he'll graft them with popular varieties such as Mont Royal or Early Italian.
À la saison des prunes, j'aurai beaucoup d'argent, j'aurai vendu les prunes, récoltées sur mon champ, mais d'abord...